65, January, there's an article about Oak Island. And I turned the first page and I was lost.
For over 2 centuries, the mysterious island nestled off the coast of Nova Scotia has haunted the dreams of treasure hunters, adventurers, and historians alike. Oak Island, shrouded in fog and folklore, has stood as a symbol of obsession, guarding its secrets beneath layers of earth, stone, and time. Its legend is etched into history, built on tales of pirate gold, sacred relics said to be lost to the ages, and forbidden knowledge buried for reasons unknown. And at the heart of it all lies the infamous Money Pit, a shaft so enigmatic, so treacherous, that it has swallowed over $10 million in excavation costs, devoured more than 200 years of effort, and even claimed multiple lives in pursuit of its elusive prize. Generation after generation has come in search of an answer, only to walk away empty-handed. Decades of dead ends and fading hopes. Fresh discoveries are surfacing, evidence that the mystery may finally be ready to give up its ghosts. Beneath the murky waters of the island's swamp, a 75-foot-long stone pathway has emerged, its placement and precision suggesting not the chaos of nature, but the careful hand of ancient design. These pathways hint at a purpose, deliberate, calculated, and still unknown. Meanwhile, on Lot 5, a find unlike any before has jolted the team into renewed urgency. A single gemstone, buried in the soil, glinting with history. Its craftsmanship, its presence, so out of place, suggests that someone of immense wealth or significance once walked this ground long before the island's legend was even born. It's a puzzle piece that doesn't fit, unless the story is far older and far bigger than anyone ever imagined. If we find the flood tunnel and follow that up, one team member explains with a tone of cautious hope, it should be a direct line to X marks the spot. The words echo in the minds of everyone listening, because for centuries, that X has remained just beyond reach. Could these new clues finally point the way? Are these the long-awaited signs that the end of the mystery is near? Or are they simply the latest shadows cast by a legend that refuses to die? Still, with every shaft dug, with every layer of soil peeled away, the island whispers a little more as the team pushes deeper into the forgotten chambers and hidden passageways that riddle the land beneath their feet. Something stirs. The feeling is electric. The excitement is real. Ultimately, we solve this mystery for all the people that have come before us looking for answers, says Rick Lagina, carrying the weight of history on his shoulders. Over 65 boreholes have been drilled. More than 500 years of documented history points to something extraordinary buried here. The journey is far from over, but now, more than ever, the pieces are beginning to fit. What lies beneath could be more than treasure. It could be the truth, a truth buried for centuries, waiting for the right moment to rise. Don't miss what comes next. Subscribe now and stay with us as we follow the trail into the depths of Oak Island's greatest secret. The legend of the Money Pit begins in the summer of 1795 on a quiet, tree-shrouded island in Nova Scotia's Mahone Bay. 3 teenagers, Daniel McGuinness, John Smith, and Anthony Vaughan, were exploring the woods when they stumbled across something unusual. A circular depression in the earth, about 13 feet wide, directly beneath an old oak tree. Nearby, they noticed what looked like a pulley system and freshly cut tree stumps scattered around the area. It didn't look natural. To them, it screamed one word: treasure. With no time to waste, they returned with shovels and began to dig. Just 2 feet down, they hit flagstones, flat rocks not native to the island. At 10 feet, a platform of wooden logs had been driven into the clay. Another appeared at 20 feet, then again at 30. Each perfectly spaced layer seemed to confirm their suspicions. Someone had buried something here and had gone to great lengths to hide it. Though they found nothing but dirt, their discovery ignited a fire that quickly spread beyond the island. By 1804, a group called the Onslow Company arrived with better equipment and bigger ambitions. They dug even deeper, striking timber platforms every 10 feet, 40, 50, 60. Then, at 90 feet, they hit something extraordinary, a large stone slab carved with strange symbols. One worker later claimed it translated to 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. But before they could go any further, water suddenly surged in from the sides, flooding the shaft up to 60 feet. No matter how hard they tried, pumps, tunnels, buckets, they couldn't stop the water. It was as if the pit had been built to protect whatever lay beneath. That's when the mystery truly took hold. People stopped calling it just a hole. It was a trap, a riddle, a masterpiece of deception. Theories spread like wildfire. Captain Kidd's lost treasure, the missing crown jewels of France, even the Holy Grail placed there by the Knights Templar. The design seemed too deliberate to be natural. Later, explorers would find coconut fibers buried deep, material that didn't exist anywhere in Nova Scotia, suggesting someone had sailed from far away to construct this. Still, the skeptics had their say. They pointed out Oak Island's fragile geology, limestone riddled with sinkholes and voids. Could it all be a natural illusion, playing tricks on greedy minds? Back then, no one thought to ask. They only saw the glimmer of gold. That first dig was only the beginning. Over the next 2 centuries, Oak Island became a revolving door of treasure hunters. After the Onslow Company gave up, the Truro Company arrived in 1849. They dug to 86 feet, uncovering more coconut fiber and bits of charcoal, only to hit flooding again. A side tunnel collapsed under pressure. In 1861, the Oak Island Association tried next. They dug deeper, but a pump exploded during the operation, killing 1 man. It was the pit's first death, and the beginning of a chilling legend. 7 must die before the treasure is found. Since then, 6 have. In 1909, a young Franklin D. Roosevelt, yes, the future U.S. president, joined the old gold salvage crew. At just 27, he helped drill boreholes and found signs of tools like a pickaxe and pieces of an oil lamp. No treasure, but he never forgot Oak Island. Even from the White House, he tracked updates about the dig. The obsession had taken hold. By the 1930s, William Chappell took his turn. At 153 feet, his drill hit wood, metal, and something that glinted like gold. He believed he had found the vault, but ran out of money before he could reach it. In 1965, Bob Restall and his team sank a shaft called Borehole 10X. They discovered underwater caverns, possibly man-made. But tragedy struck. A collapse killed Restall, his son, and 2 others. That made 6 deaths. The curse, it seemed, was 1 step away from being fulfilled. Clues piled up through the decades. A 17th century Spanish coin found in the swamp. Parchment paper with ink retrieved from deep drill sites. The engraved stone slab with its cryptic symbols still fascinated. Some dismissed them as hoaxes. Others saw them as proof. Millions of dollars were spent. Steam pumps roared. Dynamite shook the shoreline. Smith's Cove was blasted open in search of flood tunnels. Some claimed success. Others pointed to the natural limestone formations and said it was all a fantasy. But the artifacts remained. Human bones, a medieval lead cross, coconut fiber, ancient timbers. If it was just a sinkhole, why was all this buried here? Someone was on Oak Island long before 1795. Someone with purpose. By the dawn of the 21st century, Oak Island had transformed into legend, a place where history, myth, and obsession blurred together. It became part ghost story, part national mystery. And as the modern era arrived, with new technology and new eyes, two brothers from Michigan decided it was their turn to take on the riddle. Because after all that chaos, after all those years, the original spark from 1795 still burns. The chase is far from over. The story took a dramatic turn when two brothers from Michigan, Rick and Marty Lagina, stepped onto Oak Island with a shared obsession and a lifetime of curiosity. Rick had read about the money pit in a 1965 issue of Reader's Digest and never let it go. Marty, the engineer with resources and resolve, believed in his brother's passion and chose to fund the dream. In 2006, the brothers took control. They bought most of the island and teamed up with seasoned treasure hunter Dan Blankenship, who had been chasing the mystery since the 1960s. By 2014, together, they spent millions battling floods, failures, and critics. Season after season, they built a movement, not just a TV show. Skeptics turned into believers. And slowly, the island started to talk. The swamp, long overlooked, became a new focus. Stone paths were uncovered. Barrels, likely from the 15th century, emerged from the mud. At Smith's Cove, a U-shaped structure appeared, possibly an ancient dock. Each discovery whispered one truth. Someone had been here. Someone with a plan. And yet, they faced failure too. Shafts collapsed. Tunnels led nowhere. Critics claimed the show overhyped scraps for ratings, but the Laginas kept going. By 2025, they had logged 12 seasons, and it was that same year their persistence paid off. Season 12, Episode 15, aired on March 11, 2025, titled Channeling the Solution, changed the narrative again. Deep in the swamp, the team uncovered new stone pathways. These weren't random. They were aligned, structured, and deliberate, evidence of intense activity. This swamp, once a cove centuries ago, was now revealing what it had hidden for hundreds of years. And the team had seen signs before. In Season 8, a stone road linked the swamp to the money pit, with ox shoes and ring bolts hinting at carts hauling heavy loads. But now, in 2025, the scale was larger. Multiple paths branching in different directions, toward the money pit and elsewhere. Archaeologist Aaron Taylor and scientist Ian Spooner suggested these paths were no accident. They might have formed a transport system, a route from ships to vaults. Soil core samples dated the saltwater flooding to the 1300s or 1400s, perhaps from human interference. Suddenly, the money pit was no longer the only star of the show. The swamp was center stage. The theory: a galleon might have run aground, torched to hide evidence. The stone paths could have been escape routes, used to haul treasure inland. The evidence kept stacking. A piece of a wooden barrel from the 15th century showed burn scars and stress marks, as if it had survived a brutal voyage. Rick Lagina called it evidence of intent. Marty ran the numbers, calculating how much weight ox carts could have pulled over stone. The narrator, Robert Clotworthy, summed it up with drama. The swamp may hold more than we ever imagined. Social media buzzed. One teaser hinted at a vault find, though nothing was confirmed. Still, the message was clear. Something had happened here, and then came the gemstone. Same episode, same year. Just when the stone paths had everyone buzzing, the team unearthed a polished cut gemstone from Lot 5. Not a random rock, but something refined, something expensive. Experts, though unnamed on the show, analyzed the piece. Their conclusion: it was old, it was valuable, and it shouldn't be on a remote island in Nova Scotia. It was proof that someone wealthy, very wealthy, had walked this land before 1795. Lot 5, once a quiet corner of the island, was suddenly the eye of the storm. This wasn't the first find there. The 300 BC Roman coin, 17th century buttons, a half Roman coin in 2022. But this gem, it stood apart. Rick saw it as a marker of wealth. Marty asked the hard question, who brings a gem like that to a swampy island? The theory? A breadcrumb dropped by whoever built the money pit. Lot 5 also features a 13-foot wide stone circle the team has investigated since 2022, near pottery shards, old tools, and now this gemstone. Maybe it slipped from a chest. Maybe it belonged to a noble visitor. Could it tie back to the lead cross, the crossbow bolt? Some suggested a Templar link again. Others guessed pirates. Blackbeard sailed nearby in the 1710s. He could have made a deposit of his own. If the gemstone's dating lands before the 1400s, it could rewrite the island's history. And while Lot 5 isn't the money pit, it's half a mile west, it's now part of the bigger picture. The swamp, the stone paths, the artifact trail, and now a gem, all signs that the truth may not be buried deep in a single shaft, but scattered across the island. And the chase is far from over. The mystery of Oak Island took a wild turn in 2025, thanks to the relentless efforts of Rick and Marty Lagina. These two brothers from Michigan weren't just chasing childhood dreams. They were armed with million-dollar investments, cutting-edge tech, and over a decade of groundwork. Since launching The Curse of Oak Island in 2014, they've poured more than $10 million into the hunt. And by season 12, they weren't just chasing myths. They were reshaping history. Seismic scans revealed underground voids. Ground-penetrating radar exposed suspicious stone structures. The brothers drilled into the money pit, 10X, the swamp, and hit pay dirt. In 2025's pivotal episode, Channeling the Solution, the team uncovered multiple stone-lined pathways buried deep in the swamp, possibly dating back to the 1300s or earlier. Experts say these weren't natural. They were engineered, laid out with purpose, possibly to transport heavy cargo, chests, or barrels across the island. Archaeologist Aaron Taylor and scientist Ian Spooner declared them part of a medieval logistics network. Some paths led straight toward the fabled money pit, while others stretched toward uncharted zones, one even aligning with the old ship's ramp theory from season 6. And then came the gem. In the same episode, buried on Lot 5, the team unearthed a cut and polished gemstone, one so refined, professional gemologists traced it to pre-1700 Europe. Lot 5 had already yielded tantalizing clues: a 300 BC Roman coin, 17th century buttons, and a crossbow bolt likely forged during the Crusades. But this gemstone changed the stakes. It wasn't a random artifact. It was a symbol of extreme wealth, possibly dropped by a nobleman, a pirate, or even a Templar knight. The location? Near a 13-foot stone circle and an old dock. Add to that the discovery of medieval parchment scraps, coconut fibers linked to ancient trade routes, and human bone fragments, one European, one Middle Eastern, pulled from over 100 feet below. The evidence piled up, and suddenly, Oak Island wasn't just a pirate's lair. It looked more like a medieval outpost, one designed to hide something massive. Theories connecting the Knights Templar, exiled in 1307 with gold, relics, and possibly the Holy Grail, were no longer fringe. They were on the table. Lead isotope testing of the Smith's Cove cross even tied it to a French Templar mine. That's not a coincidence. That's a potential treasure trail 700 years in the making. With over 3.6 million weekly viewers still tuning in after 12 seasons, the Curse of Oak Island isn't just surviving, it's thriving. Every artifact deepens the mystery. Every void scanned suggests a new chamber. And with 2025's revelations, stone pathways in the swamp, a polished gem on Lot 5, and an ancient cross linked to Europe's most elusive order, it's clear the island is far from done giving up its secrets. Rick believes this is the closest they've ever been. Marty, ever the skeptic, is running numbers. And fans, they're glued to their screens, speculating on Reddit, Discord, and X. Could Season 13 bring the big find? A vault? A ship? The final proof? Whatever it is, one thing's certain. The mystery is deeper than anyone imagined. If you want to stay ahead of the next breakthrough, subscribe now and hit the bell icon. More discoveries are coming, and you won't want to miss what the Laginas dig up next.